Meet our battle medic with the call sign Kikimora, but to her friends she is simply Kiki. This charming girl has an impressive list of achievements. Being, I won't say how old, feel free to guess in the comments, she has enough combat experience to put Rambo to shame. She has participated in operations across various corners of the globe, including the hellish battles for Ukraine. Today she'll be sharing her knowledge about an individual first aid kit, and she will show us how to use what's inside. Welcome for the first time on YouTube, Kikimora.
Ukrainians, brothers and sisters, I came. Now let's get ready to open these up and let's compare the items, American versus Ukrainian. Let's go. Open your IFAK. All right, let's do a comparison of items. These are the necessities, the basic essentials that each IFAK should have. Do you know what an IFAK stands for?
I do, I've done my homework. It's individual first aid kit, right?
Close.
Wait, no? Yeah? Okay, yes, it is. So wait, it means that every person has to have their own one always with them, right? So it's not like there's one of those somewhere in the unit and like you go ahead and take them. So it's always with you if you are...
Right, that's a good point. That's one of the biggest misconceptions that's going on in the front lines. Soldiers are being too dependent on their medic to carry everything for the entire squad, team, or unit. Each soldier must have a personalized IFAK on them, which will contain all the items that the medic or yourself will apply onto you during your March protocols, which is your TCCC, your Tactical Combat Casualty Care.
And one little detail here, guys, please pronounce this acronym correctly. It's an IFAK, right? It's not IFAK. And you've told me this little joke before we started filming. Tell us, like, how do you use this pun when you talk about a wrongly packed IFAK? What do you say?
So from my experience on the front line, when I go up to a soldier and I'm conducting medical care on them and I open up their IFAK and it's kind of emptied or there's nothing really in it, it's no longer an IFAK, it's called an IFUK because you're probably fucked, especially if I don't have all the items to help you out, especially if you're bleeding out.
Yeah, so pack it properly with all the necessary items, which we will now see.
All right,
begin.
Let's review. All right, let's review what these are. These are what? Do you know?
Scissors.
Scissors. So other names, tactical combat scissors or shears as well. It's very important not to use household scissors. Do not put household scissors or toe clippers or nose hair trimmers in your bags. Please, it's very important that each pair of scissors that you have the teeth, the grip. This is to cut materials. This is to cut skin if needed. This is to cut also different types of rope as well. Next up, we have different types of bandages and gauze. Bandages, basic bandages. So it's cotton with a little bit of elastic into it to help grip it even more.
All right. Why is it of different size? It's just a matter of preference during work, or like what's...
This is American, we're bigger.
Okay. Got it.
Bigger and better.
Which is actually the same brand. They're just getting the 12 centimeters and we get the 10.
It just really depends on your preference. So this could be used for knees, ankles, and wrists. Something smaller could be used for fingers, also wrapping shoulders, and also bandaging parts of the head.
Would it make sense to have two of these of different size?
If you can fit it inside your IFAK, it's very important to fit as much as you can inside of your IFAK. I always carry extra of everything on me. Next up, we have
Tourniquet.
Tourniquet, and there's many different brands out there and actually different styles. We have soft tees, we have cats. And so the differences are basically the materials and the application. Some are with Velcro, some are without Velcro. The tourniquet, this brand is Ukrainian, right?
Yeah, it's called Січ. Український турнікет, українського виробництва. Турнікет Січ.
So, as you can see, it looks a little bit different compared to other tourniquets, as in this part right here, it's not a holder cap. You basically lock it in this way, which is pretty cool, I must say. Good job, Ukraine. All right, so she has her right leg injured. So am I going to use my tourniquet on her? No.
What if I don't have one?
If I like you, I'll give you one.
Okay, so have your own tourniquet with you. Better more than one.
Better
right?
more than one. Personally, on the front lines, I carry at least minimum 3. Right shoulder, left shoulder, and right or left ankle area. So I can immediately have it on the outside, and then I can deploy it and apply quickly. So Mary's been injured. She's went down. We're in the red zone. I quickly need to grab this and apply it. So
Where was I injured?
right leg.
Where exactly?
Your knee is blown up.
Okay.
Shrapnel in the knee.
Got it.
Okay, so I'm going through doing my Moch protocols, and I visualize, and I can see that she has an injury here, bleeding out heavily in the kneecap area. Does it hurt? Do you feel pain? Level 1 to 10.
9.
All right. Can you move your leg at all?
No.
All right. So that gives an indicator if it could be broken or not. Tourniquet. Personally, I don't do it this way. I don't grab people's tourniquets and just, for me, this takes too long. I go ahead and I have it ready for the size of the arm or leg almost. I grab, okay? So there are 4 areas that you can apply the tourniquet. These are a must. We call it high and tight. High right, high left. High right, high left. Any other places are incorrect. Why? Because you can bleed out. If the artery has been severed and it's raising its way up and you apply the tourniquet low, you will bleed out, possibly die. You want the tourniquet as high as possible. Even if the injury is here in the knee region, high and tight. High and tight. And press all the way down. Make sure it goes all the way around. Make sure that Velcro attaches and attacks all the way around. Attach, attach, attach. Okay? Next step, your twist. You twist, twist, and twist until it cannot twist anymore. Then you secure it and lock it in. Always double check. You continue with your Moch protocols and check again. If the casualty is still bleeding out, you apply a second tourniquet just above the first tourniquet. Always. You never remove this and you never loosen it. Apply the second tourniquet above the first one.
Mm-hmm. Not below, yeah, because it wouldn't make any sense,
Right.
I was a bit nervous actually when you were putting this on, because people told me that it's gonna hurt, but you didn't twist it all the way through, yeah. So when you're practicing, be careful. It might be like really, really painful, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Be careful when you're practicing on yourself and others. You can permanently damage yourself and cause internal bruising and bleeding. All right, so let's say Mary has an injury on the right arm or even hand. Even if it's here in the elbow area or the wrist area, you do not apply the tourniquet here or here. It's always high and tight. Mm-hmm. Right, high and tight. Mary has an injury on the right arm. Am I going to apply it low or high?
High.
High.
High and tight.
Right. All right, so injury. Immediately. Arm all the way around. twist, twist, lock in, take the leftover remainder, and you keep going around the arm, and you tuck it, all right? You continue on with your protocols. You always go back before you move the casualty. Check that tourniquet placement one more time. Once you move the casualty from the red to the yellow zone, the first thing you check again are the tourniquets, because during movement, tourniquets can come off and loosen. Always check twice. Tourniquet positions.
How will we know when to take them off?
You never take them off. The only person who is permitted to take them off are the surgeons or the field hospital staff. Because if they've bled out, they will have blood to conduct a blood transfusion. You never take them off, whether it's 1 hour or 5 hours. It's better to lose a limb than to lose your life. A limb is like an arm. All right, so a technique that I use when applying tourniquets. What I do and what I've been trained to do. So I immediately come up, march protocols, massive bleeding. I immediately take her tourniquet and I apply it on. Her left leg is gushing blood, spewing out like a water fountain. I immediately understand that the vein is running this way. I apply immediate pressure here, hard, full pressure, like massage.
It actually tickles. Oh my God. It's like pain and tickling at the same time. Sorry.
A new Thai massage technique. So
yeah, that's not funny. I mean, I'm just not
I
used to
apply
it.
my right knee to this side. If I'm on the other side, I will use the other knee. So high and tight, I press here. Now, if she's got an injury in the arm, whether she's shot or it's been broken in the bone, it's bleeding out, you still, high and tight, you apply pressure because this vein is going all the way up. Apply pressure, get that tourniquet on, high and tight, immediately. All right. How you feel?
Great.
Ready to be saved?
Yep. So what's your verdict on the siege?
I think
Tourniquet.
this is pretty awesome. I want to keep this.
Yeah, great.
This is really good gear. Good job, Ukraine. Nice. And this little handy dandy, look at that. Amazing. We have a comparison here. So we have Western standard, and then we have the Ukrainian standard. This is metal right here, this piece right here. And so when it's locked in, it's less likely to break.
Right.
Whereas this one, these are plastic, these little cubby holes. And sometimes you can feel right there, they stretch and they can break. And when they break, no shit, bad. Then you gotta use an improvised tourniquet. I'll teach you that later.
All right, what is this?
Hemorrhage control bandage.
Mine says emergency bandage, which I guess is a similar thing, yeah?
For excessive bleeding, you will apply these types of bandages, also known as an Israeli bandage sometimes, because it has the gauze already applied to the bandage. So you would apply pressure and then wrap the arm or leg or wherever there is a massive bleeding wound.
It saves time, yeah, not to use the gauze
Absolutely.
and then the bandage, right? When I learned words in English, I have a very good memory about in what situation I learned the word. So the word gauze, I learned from this TV series Friends, where Phoebe was like, I don't know, maybe she had a dream or something.
Gauze! Gauze! I need to get some gauze in here! Can I please get some more gauze?
Application of a tourniquet and bandage dressing.
Israeli bandage, yeah?
Or Israeli bandage, emergency compression bandage. There's so many different names.
Or emergency bandage, or depending on the manufacturer, right? They have different, or Depending on the country
Different
standards.
countries, different names have
Yeah.
it, but it's all the same. It's just a long bandage with gauze already attached to it. I call everything Israeli because the creator is actually Israeli. So when it comes to addressing your massive bleeding, what do you think goes first, the tourniquet or the bandage?
The tourniquet.
Absolutely, tourniquet first. So Mary has an injury on the right knee. It's bleeding out profusely. So take her tourniquet, high and tight every time. Make sure this strap attaches on the Velcro all the way around, nice and tight. And I twist it, lock it in. Make sure you take your 2 fingers right here. And if you can stick your 2 fingers in, and that means it's too loose. That means you gotta tighten it. Tourniquet tightened. Bandage to control the bleeding.
Why does it have several packages?
For sterilization. And also, when you're out there in the rain, in the mud, and sometimes your bags and your gear, you don't want to get this wet and damaged.
Would you want to take this out and just have it this way in the IFAK?
I do for my
without
first-
the external package?
Right. So in my own one, I will just have it like this, and then I'll cut a little easy tear into it. Quick grab and just rip it. All right. So
Можна зробити надріз невеличкий, просто на зовнішній цій упаковці, не протикаючи цей вакуумну частину, щоб легше було відкрити без ножиць.
depending on the type of injury and the time that you have, sometimes I'll take my bag and I'll put it like this. Okay. So this is your bandage with your already in place gauze. So white side down. Automatically take your hand, apply it down and press, holding it. Teeth grabber to keep it in place.
I just want to watch. If I'm injured, I'm not supposed to be lying like this. Do they all have this plastic thingy? All those Israeli bandages, yeah?
Most of them do, some of them don't. All right. Now we're coming to the end. So you've noticed I would turn it sideways to get it through the teeth, okay? Now, I'm going to, because we're going to move you, the last wrap around you cover here. You turn it sideways a little bit. Mm-hmm. Then you have your clip. You clip it like this. Nice and tight.
Nice and tight.
Nice and tight.
High and tight, nice and tight.
So, immediately after you continue your march protocols, so this was your M for massive bleeding, okay? You then check your tourniquet again. Next up, we have compress. Gauze, stop bleeding.
This one.
Compress gauze, yes. So this is the American version. It's a little bit softer. And all this is, the gauze is basically thin cotton material, and it's formed in a Z. And it's layered by layered by layered. So let's say, for instance, you get shot. I would apply one of these immediately onto the open bleed out wound to start absorbing and stopping the blood immediately.
So it probably gets much bigger, yeah,
It
when
does,
it
because
absorbs liquid. Mhm.
Right, it gets bigger.
Okay. Yeah, mine doesn't even bend. See? Okay. Huh. All right, but the same idea, yeah?
Yep.
Okay.
What do you call this in Ukrainian?
It's called marля gauze. It's like a big piece of bandage, pretty much, yeah? Right?
Right.
Okay.
So next up we have BurnShield. This is for burns, it can be applied to different places around your body. Face, arms, legs, abdomen, and back.
Yeah, and I've also seen one of a different size here. I don't know if it necessarily will go into the IFAK, but they make ones like these.
So, I always have the tourniquet ready like this. It saves time. Why? Because finding a mangled up, loose tourniquet, seconds go by. Every second counts when you're bleeding out in the front lines. So when I see a tourniquet like this packed into an IFAK, that's not an IFAK, that's called an IFUK because you just fucked yourself. Before you go on any mission, to always check your tourniquet. Make sure you have all the pieces intact. There's no grass or any fuzz in the tourniquet. If it's bent like this, you take it and you straighten it. You want it to be straight and smooth as possible. Straight and smooth. Then I go ahead and I prepare my tourniquet. And then I pack it.
All right, what else do we have?
So the next item up is the nasal phalangeal tube, also short terms if you need to yell it out, nasal tube. You can also see that it's different, it's long. You also get a small container of lubricant. All right, so depending on the size for measurements, if once you measure from here down to here, if it's too long, you'll use your tactical scissors to measure it. Once you've measured it, then you use your lubricant to slide it gently into the nose. Do you know what we use on the front instead of lubricant if we don't have it?
Spit?
But do I use my own spit?
No, the person's, their own spit. I mean, the spit of the person who you are using it on.
Right, but what if they've got dry mouth and they aren't producing any saliva?
I don't know.
We use their own blood.
Okay.
So we make sure that the tube is we take a little bit of the blood, we lubricate the tube, and then we slide it in to open the airways for breathing.
Yeah, so some of my friends who are in the military who took this special medical first aid course, they said it hurt like hell when they had to use that on each other. Yeah?
Oh yeah, it's painful, but you know, some people are into that, so you know.
Okay.
All right, next up we have our decompression chest needle. Chest. This is not for tattoos or IVs, guys. So this is used for a pneumothorax, which I call a collapsed lung. And it's to be applied under the second bone collar, right here.
How many times have you done this?
This year?
This week?
Just twice this week. We're getting better at not getting shot.
Does it get less scary to do that on somebody the more practice you have? Like compared to your first time when you had to stick it into somebody's lung and to your latest time?
Actually, when I'm on the front lines, I just kind of zone out and go into a different mode. It's like just a switch that happens with me that I don't think about, you know, the fear. I kind of set it aside, put the ego aside, and just focus on the mission.
Right. Right. It's kind of a defense mechanism, I guess, yeah? So you have to like block some fear in this moment, yeah?
I was trained to do that in military intelligence, to compartmentalize your emotions, to not be emotionally attached and absorb the emotions of the person that you're helping.
Do you get that a lot? I mean, do people like thank you immediately when you are saving them? Like they're too shocked for doing that.
They're usually too shocked and they're really, really angry and they're yelling fuck, fuck, fuck. And they're just like, I've even had a guy like, oh, you're applying it too tight. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. But he didn't see what I was seeing. He just couldn't feel his legs. And he was like, but he could feel this part. He was like, oh, it's on too tight. It's on too tight. It's not that bad. Yeah. But he got hit with a mortar. And I was like, you don't see what I see. It's bad, buddy. But Always, just a reminder, when you come up to your casualty, don't yell at them, don't scream at them. Calm, cool voice, because if you're stressing them out, their blood pressure will increase. And when your blood pressure increases, your blood flow increases and you will bleed out even more, your casualty will. So, positive calmness, always control the situation, okay? Stay alert, stay alive. As you're assessing and talking to your casualty and going through the march protocols, continue to talk to them. How do you feel? Are you okay? Checking. Do you feel any other pain in your head? How are you feeling? Are you dizzy? Just continue to talk to them the entire time. Why? Because every second and every minute that casualty is laying there, it feels like hours going by and time slows down. And it's scary for these guys because if you're close to the front enemy lines, their first thought is, I'm gonna get captured.
Yeah.
Right. So putting them at ease is really, really important. Next item up is the chest seal. So each person should at least have 2 chest seals on them. The reason why is because of entry exit wounds. You don't just put it on the front. If there's an exit wound out the back, you must apply a second chest seal.
Demonstrating. Yeah. Okay.
So, if you only have 1 chest seal, an improvised version is cutting and opening and using the inside pieces to apply. You will tape on 3 sides, and the 4th side you will leave it open for ventilation. Therefore, you technically have 1, 2, 3 chest seals, improvised chest seals. Here's a quick tip for you guys that I'm going to show you what we do in the West. So, I showed you our decompression needle. You have your chest seal. These go hands in hand, especially if there's a pneumothorax, which is usually the case, which is a collapsed lung. Quick trip, tape it together and put it inside your IFAK.
Yeah, this will save time, right?
It saves time and it saves the medic or the person applying it. Every second counts for your casualty to make sure that they stop their bleeding and get them breathing.
That's a very useful tip. So yeah, before you actually use this whole thing, there might be those little necessary tricks for you to prepare. Like it will take you less than a minute, but it will save a life eventually.
I can't tell you how many times I'm digging through an IFAK and I'm trying to find where the decompression needle is. Seconds, even a minute could go by and you're still digging, and then finally I have to reach and get my own to stab and save a life. So in your IFAKs, sometimes you have either 1 or 2 different types of tape. You have your duct tape or masking tape, which is really rough on the skin, but it does hold. Yeah. Then you have your medical tape, which is softer on the skin. I really recommend having at least 1 or 2 types of tape inside of your IFAK. You can use it to help secure and bandage wounds, placement of tourniquets to hold it, as well as taping your gear together for easy access.
Is this different from regular duct tape that we can have in the household? Like
this is regular duct tape, it's just more narrow.
Okay.
It's more narrow.
Yeah.
And when it comes to the tourniquets, it's not like you're putting it on the tourniquet. Sometimes you don't have a medical card to write the time, and there's no place, and you can write the time of when you applied the tourniquet. You can mark it on the tape.
Yeah, but in order to do that, it seems like you will need something else in your IFAK, right?
Mm-hmm. Always carry a black marker, a Sharpie preferably, something that will not be rinsed off or rub off easily.
Yeah, should it be inside or do you carry it like somewhere?
For me, I usually carry 4 or 5. I carry them in the front here, I carry them on the side. Also, one should be inside the IFAK.
Yeah.
But the soldiers should also have their own.
Yeah, I guess they may get lost easily, like.
Do you know the places of where we put the time of the tourniquet?
I would say somewhere where you would see it well.
So, I've got my tourniquet applied. I look at the time, it's 10:10. Her skin is covered. Her face is not bleeding or sweaty, so I will write a T at the top on the forehead. What goes is the time that you applied the tourniquet.
Okay, please don't do it now because it's gonna stay in my face for quite a while, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
If not, if this arm is uninjured, you can write it on the arm as long as there's no blood and it's visible.
Okay.
If the pant leg has been cut off and the bleeding has been controlled, you can also write it visible, a large T and the time. It's very important that the time is put if you do have it.
Why?
That lets the person know that's going to remove it know how long the pressure has been applied, so they understand the internal damage that could have been done, which sometimes in rare cases does end up in an amputation of one of the limbs, an arm or a leg.
Пишіть час накладання турнікету. Це може бути важливою інформацією для хірурга.
We also use this to mark on the soldier's body. Sometimes we take off all the gear and you can't see the blood type anymore. So I keep my blood type in all different places. Blood type.
You have several of them, yeah?
Yeah. I keep it here, here, here. And also I keep an identifier in my boot with my name and blood type and allergies. So if you know this soldier and you know they've got allergies, write it. You know the blood type, write it. Because sometimes we go ahead and strip their gear off of them and we need to transport them out immediately. If they're allergic to certain types of latex or painkillers, that needs to be noted. Because we have a lot of joint forces out there. We're working with different languages in different countries, and not all handovers with medevacs are of the same language. But we can still understand what the blood types and what the allergies mean as long as it's noted on the body or the casualty card.
You mentioned a watch. Do you always have a watch with you? And like, does it matter what kind of watch it is? Is it electronic or like
I
regular
usually
mechanical?
wear a clip-on clock right here, a little clip-on one, because I need my hands free to wear gloves. And also I'm dealing with, sometimes organs, and you don't want anything to accidentally rub or tap. And also there's a lot of fluids involved, and regardless of how waterproof it says, nothing stops dried blood to get it in there. It stinks.
I saw you rolling up your sleeves when we were getting ready for filming.
Yeah.
That's the reason, why you did that, so it doesn't get in the way when you are
Right.
with the wounds,
Most trained Western medical staff on the front lines, we try to keep our sleeves rolled up. This is a safety. The reason is we don't want our sleeves to be down and in the way, and we keep pushing them up. All sleeves usually have some sort of button or Velcro, and when we're in there doing medical procedures, we don't want to injure or get the feces or any type of bodily fluids on us, because it quickly absorbs. And so, especially when you're dealing with organs, you don't want the Velcro to touch or rub on any of the organs.
Right. Okay.
So,
what else do we have?
Quick, easy, and breezy.
Yeah. Is it more convenient to apply the tourniquet to my right leg or arm when you are sitting on my left, or when you're sitting on my right?
So,
Or it's up to you, like whatever is comfortable. Is there
however I get to the casualty. When you're in the red zone and you're applying a tourniquet, I apply it from whatever side I get to you first. Usually, I will be facing the enemy direction, so I know and I can see and I can call on the radio, drone, drone, enemy fire ahead, contact left, contact right, and I get down. So I'm usually facing. So when I'm coming up from this side, from the rear, I have my eyes positioned to the front, the direction of enemy fire. This is to protect myself. Enemy drones aren't coming this way. They're coming from the front side. I'm always looking and I'm always listening. So it doesn't matter if you've been injured here, here, or here. If I come up this direction from the rear, I'm going to stay only on this side. I'm not going to keep jumping sides.
Yeah, this is flexibility. I mean, you have to be able to do it from either side, yeah?
Right.
So it's not like, oh, wait a second, yeah, I have to, walk
It's
around.
more comfortable. And I have seen frontline girl medics do that. These TikTok girls, not impressed, glamorizing, full makeup, clean uniforms, posing with everything as if everything's perfect. No.
This is not how real war works. Yeah.
No. In case you don't have an extra tourniquet or you don't have extra items, an improvised tourniquet. Also, a belt. So for others, you can use it like this. I always use it with one hand and I pull it out like this and I immediately apply. And there you go. So now for this segment, we're going to discuss some Q&A. You got any questions for me?
Yeah, actually, I wanted to ask you, have you met any terms that Ukrainian soldiers use and they're not very clear for English speakers or vice versa? Like, because there should be some universal terms when you have to quickly say something in combat and like when there's some miscommunication. Let's maybe talk about those. For example, we all know, like not just people who are in the military, but civilians, we know these two numbers and we know exactly what they mean. When someone says 200, it means somebody is killed, and 300 means injured. Do you use the same thing with those 200, 300 numbers, or is there something else you
That's a good question. We actually use KIA and WIA. KIA is the acronym that we use for killed in action. WIA is what we use for wounded in action. So we can say to WIA en route, need medevac.
And have you ever had any situations when you said that and the Ukrainian speakers didn't understand, or vice versa?
I had to learn very quickly what the 200s and 300s were, very quickly. So it's really good to know both terms because you might be working with joint forces and multiple languages are being used. So please, guys, whether you're a Ukrainian speaker or English speaker, please learn that the 200s are the KIA and the 300s are the WIA.
So let's talk about it once again. KIA is killed in action. Тобто вбиті, 200, 200, and WIA, wounded in action, це поранені, ну, тобто те, що ми називаємо 300. IA – це in action, тобто в дії, ну, те, що ми називаємо в бою, тобто поранені або загиблі в бою, вбиті.
So we have our field, which is our front line, and then we have a garrison, which is behind front lines. So if a casualty like breaks his leg going down the stairs in garrison, he wouldn't be a WIA. He's just a wounded soldier. But if he's frontline in battle action, we would say wounded in action, WIA.
But I've always had this question. How logical is it to learn things like this, like completely just from YouTube, let's say? Or do you recommend every single person, every single Ukrainian, no matter what, no matter if it's a military person or a civilian, to actually go and take, offline, like hands-on course? That's
a great question. If you are a citizen or non-citizen residing inside Ukraine, I highly encourage you to follow a YouTube video or even take an offline course about medical training. It could definitely save your life or a friend or a loved one's life as well. The reason being is that there are military strikes everywhere, whether it is civilian or military sectors. They are striking all areas. So I highly encourage you to at least learn some sort of vocabulary and first aid tactics.
And since what age do you think it makes sense to learn first aid?
Around age 8 and 10 up.
Okay.
Absolutely. I've seen a lot of brave 8 and 10-year-old Ukrainians calling out for help, helping other people locate other people, especially during a strike on a civilian target. So they are also vocal and very helpful in helping organize and direction of where to go to clear out any leftover wounded. Right, children want to be considered useful, and when a child sees a loved one bleeding out, they want to be of use. And so if they can at least learn to call for help, or at least learn to apply pressure on an open wound the proper way, it could definitely save that person's life. The courses should not be taught with fear-based instruction, but rather courage and bravery instructions to let them know that Ukrainians are resilient, especially starting at a young age, to teach them that everybody can be hands-on in a time of need, especially in a country at war.
You know, as a teacher of English, I get asked a lot what to watch in English, because like usually the most typical things I recommend is, of course, like some sitcoms and comedies.
Right.
But since we are talking about what we're talking about today, maybe you have a recommendation for people to learn more specifically like medical terminology and still have fun while watching it. Is there anything like that?
Well, since I'm kind of old school and I was actually a teenager in the 90s, growing up, I used to watch this show called MASH, and it's a sitcom about a medical staff stationed in Korea. It has comedy, tactical medicine terms, but it also talks a lot about the mental health of soldiers and how to help each other out on the front lines and dealing with very difficult situations with loss of friends.
How long have we been at this?
I started surgery in 1932.
I mean this session.
So do I.
Pierce is like do a sterile prep. Move it, hurry. At his chest, he's in pain. MS, 1/4. He'll be next in OR. Come on, move it, we've got more coming. Cut it out.
Let us know in the comments if you have watched this TV show, and if you can also recommend it, and if it was fun. Did it motivate you to choose the line of work you have chosen?
I love MASH. It was awesome. Yeah. However, when I joined up, it was nothing like that whatsoever. Wish I could take back that contract, but 20 years later, here I am, still participating in wars.
So we learned a lot today, and you've taught us so much. So just to wrap it up, just as a final message, could you tell your top 3 tips to people here in Ukraine, to soldiers in Ukraine? What are the 3 tips from Kiki to soldiers in Ukraine?
All right, so Kikimora's top 3 tips are: number 1, make sure before going out on any mission that you have all the necessary items in your IFAK, and if you have a chance to double check your team's IFAKs, make sure that they've got enough items in there. Don't let your soldiers go out. I see a lot of soldiers just like, oh, it'll be fine. They go out on the front line. They don't have enough tourniquets on them. 2, definitely know your team's identification, as in their call signs, their blood type, their identifications of tattoos, and any allergies. It's really, really helpful. And 3, for all foreigners inside Ukraine, if English is your native tongue or secondary language, I really encourage you to watch Mary's videos and pick up some great Ukrainian terms, because it's a great way to establish rapport, and we are here for one team, one fight. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Thanks for watching. Bye.